breaking news for you. It's Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026, and we can now officially report that Denmark has taken the lead in global aid to Ukraine relative to its GDP.
And this isn't just about, being generous. This is a strategic masterclass in defending freedom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you want to stay on top of stories like this, subscribe to Defense Reports. It's your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports.
You'll want to.
I'm Alex. Join me with Aria in the latest podcast by Defense Report for sharp, no-nonsense breakdowns of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we're going to cover, well, it's this revolutionary Danish model of financing a war.
And the controversy around their 2026 budget. But stick around because we're also going to talk about how Ukrainian missile fuel is now being produced on NATO soil.
That's a huge cliffhanger. So, okay, let's get into it. Denmark is number one. But the real story, when you dig in, it's not just the amount of money, it's how they're spending it.
Exactly. We usually think of aid as old surplus gear being flown in. It's slow, it's clunky. Denmark saw that wasn't going to cut it long term.
So they came up with this Danish model, which is what, essentially stop shipping weapons and just wire the money to Ukrainian factories.
In a nutshell, yes. In 2024, Ukraine got about $538 million that way. Denmark pays a Ukrainian company to build a weapon instead of buying one in the West and shipping it.
That just makes so much sense. It solves a massive bottleneck, right? I mean, the wait times for Western gear are brutal.
They are the key. You order a French Caesar howitzer, you're in an 18-month line, minimum. But Ukrainian factories, they had the space, they just didn't have the cash.
So Denmark provided the cash flow.
Right, and they got Bohdana howitzers delivered in just 2 months.
2 months versus 18. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that is an eternity on the front line. And the cost...
It's a huge difference. A Bohdana costs around $2.5 million, a Caesar,
Yeah.
closer to $4.2 million.
So you get almost double the guns in a fraction of the time.
And the spare parts are already in the country. It's just smarter. And a lot of this new funding, about $830 million for 2025, it's coming from profits on frozen Russian assets.
There's some real poetic justice in that, using the aggressor's money to fund the defense.
A grim efficiency to it, yeah.
But it's not just money management. They are deep in the Air Force coalition, the F-16s, and they did something with their artillery that was almost unheard of.
The all-in move. They didn't just send some of their Caesar howitzers, they sent their entire stock, emptied their own hangars.
Wow.
That's what pushed their contribution to almost 2.9% of their GDP. For context, the U.S. is at about, 0.55%?
Here's the twist. You'd think they'd be doubling down on this success. But reports for the 2026 budget actually show a drop, down to around $1.3 billion from $2.3 billion. Is this support fatigue?
It looks that way on paper. The government is calling it a stabilization. They're saying they front-loaded everything, emptied the warehouses when it mattered most.
So now they're just tapering off to a more sustainable pace.
That's the argument. But the opposition is, understandably, very nervous. It sends a complicated signal to Moscow.
A risky signal.
It is. But
Yes.
while that budget number is changing, the strategic integration is actually getting deeper. And that brings us to that Firepoint agreement.
Right. It's really caught my eye. A Ukrainian company is setting up a factory in Denmark.
Yes. To produce solid rocket fuel for their Flamingo long-range missiles. Think about it. If you build that factory in Ukraine...
It's target number one for Russian strikes.
Exactly. You'd spend half your budget just defending the building.
Yep.
But by moving the production to Denmark...
You put a critical part of the supply chain on NATO territory.
Untouchable. It completely de-risks the production. No matter what Russia hits inside Ukraine, the fuel for the counterattack just keeps flowing.
It's a fascinating shift. From just donating old equipment to actually merging industrial bases.
It really is. And it leaves you with a pretty challenging thought. If a small nation like Denmark can do all this and get to nearly 3% of GDP in aid, what would the map of Europe even look like if the rest of the alliance had matched that from day one?
You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry.
Subscribe to Defense Reports, your trusted source for timely, in-depth military and defense analysis. We'll see you next time. Keep supporting us so we can continue bringing you the latest developments from Ukraine and around the world.